Okay, so the section that I chose is parents as models, and I'm going to describe the role play. So basically what's happening is a mom is going around the house, she's taking care of the kids, and she notices that there are lots of toys everywhere, the house is dirty, and she gets really frustrated. So she starts she starts picking everything up. And as she's doing this, she's talking about how she's the only one who ever does anything. And as she's doing this, her husband comes home, and then she starts getting mad at him, saying that she does too much and she needs him to help, and they end up getting into an argument, and the children are there. So later that night, she asks her daughter to pick up the room, and her daughter then gets mad at her in the same way that the husband and her were fighting earlier. And I think that a good way of making sure this doesn't happen is by either you want to keep things that you're arguing about away from the kids, so they're not seeing this and thinking that like the parents aren't getting along and they aren't repeating that behavior later. I also think that it would be good to teach the child to clean as they go as soon as you can, so that then in this situation, because there were things all over the floor, then that wouldn't happen, and that will also make good habits later on, and it will teach the child to make sure that they aren't making it really messy. I also think that communication in this situation is very, very important, because if you do not communicate with your spouse or also with your child what you're needing and what you're wanting them to do, then you can't expect them to do it on their own without you telling them. So that's very important to tell them and let them know what you have to do and how to be successful as a person. And of course, if the child is too young, then that might be hard, but you would just want to modify that as the child gets older, and that type of thing. I also think it could be good for married couples or couples with children to make sure that if they do get in an argument in front of the children, that they don't let it escalate too much and just try to save it for later, so that the kids don't see that and they aren't thinking that something's gonna go wrong. And then for a group activity, what I thought could be a good option is to have the situation where there are toys that are everywhere, and you can have a good reaction, which would be the mom going and picking them up but not talking about it, not like voicing it, or going and getting the child and helping the child pick it up and telling them that they need to pick it up and being like a role model to them and showing them what to do with that. Another option would be for her to quietly have a conversation with her husband later on about that, and then also portraying the bad version, which would be her yelling at her husband, telling her that she needs to do more around the house and that she's doing too much, which that isn't always a bad thing, but in front of the child probably isn't. Or her yelling at the child to pick up the toys would be another example of something that's bad. And that should teach them what you're wanting them to do and model for them what they should be doing and what they should be looking for. And then after you show them the bad situation, then you can come together and talk as a family so that you can know what to do next and what that would look like, and take those next steps to make sure that it doesn't happen again, and show them what should happen and what shouldn't happen and the consequences that can happen after that. So yeah, basically a conclusion or a summary to this would be that you just want to make sure you're modeling for your kids and not showing behavior that would not be considered okay in front of them, or that you wouldn't want them to do. And yeah, that should be it.